longitudinal oversight. We want to have a closer one-on-one relationship between our students, their peers, their mentors, and their dean. So here are 4 colleges with the appropriate colors. You will see some of us wearing yellow socks or yellow lanyards or green lanyards. It's not by accident, but by choice. Reed College is black and yellow, and that's why I'm wearing a yellow tie. So we have 4 learning communities, 4 colleges. Each one has about 6 or 7 CPD groups. The CPD groups are made up of 6 students and 2 mentors. And what we do in each college is to work on the clinical skills of our students. We start advising our students about their career from the first day. In Reed, for instance, I've met with each and every one of our incoming class. And even from as early as their first few weeks in medical school, we're already talking about what their career is going to be. Many of them have not made up their minds. Many of them will not make up their minds until their 3rd year in medical school, but we're talking about it already. Professional growth from day 1 of medical school up until they graduate, we put good emphasis on that. And wellness and service. So for the students that like jogging, we want them to keep jogging while they're here. For those who spend their Saturday nights watching movies with their friends, we want them to continue doing that. So we stress for them to work hard, but also not to continue the things that enrich their lives. So yes, they will still be calling you. They may not call you as often as you want them to. They will return your calls, but give them time. And they have a lot of work on they have a lot of things that they have to do. So at this point, without further ado, I will point out, actually I missed that pointing out the 4 college deans. I am Reed. Dr. Meg Keeley is one of our 4 college deans, and she's in charge of Dunglison College. Dr. Kristen Peterson is the dean in charge of Pine College. Woo! And Dr. Densmore is in charge of Hunter. And you would meet each one of us as the day goes along. Dr. Meg Keeley.
Good morning, everyone. We're so glad that we had the record turnout today, that we never had to get extra chairs, so we're very excited that you're all here. I would like first to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about Dr. Dunglison. He will, as Dr. Balogun mentioned, we will not be meeting him today, but we'll be meeting him in spirit. That Dr. Dunglison was actually the first full-time professor of medicine in the United States. He was hired specifically by Thomas Jefferson, or as we call him here, Mr. Jefferson. So Mr. Jefferson sent Francis Gilmer across the ocean to Europe to find professors to teach here at the University of Virginia, and specifically wanted Dr. Dunglison to teach medicine and to be the first professor of medicine. Dunglison was an Englishman, but he did train in Germany. He is known as the father of American physiology, mostly because he wrote this kind of seminal textbook, which we have several copies of, which is kind of cool, I think. He worked as a pediatrician, which is dear to my heart because I am also a pediatrician. But he also did some obstetrics and gynecology, so he's dear to Dr. Peterson's heart as well, because that's what she does. So he did a lot of different things. He wrote a variety of different textbooks, and also importantly, he served as Thomas Jefferson's personal physician. And if any of you know a lot of early American history, Jefferson was not fond of physicians and was quite suspicious of them. So Dr. Dunglison must have been something special in order to gain his trust. Jefferson actually gave Dr. Dunglison a silver chalice in thanks for his service. We have that here in the library, and my students have all gotten to kind of touch it, and there's some photos circulating around with me perhaps drinking out of it, but still. Dr. Dunglison was at Thomas Jefferson's deathbed on the 4th of July, 1825, at the same time that John Adams was also dying, and they were trying to last each other out, as the story goes. So He also, very excitingly, was the first inhabitant of Pavilion 10 on the lawn, which is where our new dean, Dr. Dunlap, who you'll meet a little bit later, is also living. So it's very exciting to us this year that she is living in the first medical school classroom building at the University of Virginia, where I will say they also did autopsies in the lowest floor until Dr. Dunglison's wife put an end to that. So Dunglison biographer wrote, he is a husband, father, brother, neighbor, friend. There was never a kinder or better man. In all the relations of his life, he's a model. As a profound medical scholar, ages will probably elapse before the profession will have another Dunglison. So we are honored to have him as a namesake for our college, and I'm honored to be the dean of that college. So I am now going to talk a little bit about why your loved ones are here to learn how to be physicians in what we call our next generation curriculum. This is version 4.0 of that curriculum. The entering class of 2010, the class that will graduate this spring in May, is the first class that has gone through our curriculum. So they like to call themselves the guinea pigs. We like to call them the firstborns because that's how they are in many ways. And so a lot of things have changed since they went through that curriculum, and we've really fine-tuned it, and I think that it's really very exciting. So why did we change? We used to be a medical school that had what we call a very traditional 2x2 curriculum. And that 2x2 curriculum would mean 2 years of basic science courses, pharmacology, biochemistry, physiology, and then you finished that, and then you went into the wards and took care of patients, et cetera, for your third and fourth year. We even had students choose to come here because we had that very traditional curriculum. But a lot of forces conspired to lead us to this major, major change. And I'm telling you, we talk about Mr. Jefferson as if he's in here, so major change for us is a big deal. One of the things is the science of adult learning and the science of medical education has really come a long way. But we now know adults learn in very different ways than we thought they did. They really have to be invested and self-directed in their learning. And they learn in the context of what they're going to use the information for. So in medical education, it means that they need to learn in the context of patient care. That's the ultimate goal. So we wanted to move a lot more to simulation, a lot more to clinical skills training. And we had outside forces. So the LCME is the board that accredits all medical schools, and they come and visit at very regular intervals, and we spend many years getting ready for them to come. And that's what we're doing as we speak. Because they're coming next year. And they are very interested in schools moving to kind of this integration of the basic sciences and clinical sciences, that it all should be a continuum. And they're very interested in how students and learners throughout life as physicians move through competencies and kind of attain those and move to a next level. So we really needed to move to that. Also, some people will say that the testing dictates the teaching. And that's true to some extent, that the United States Board of Medical, the Medical Licensing Board, who helps create with the National Board of Medical Examiners the standardized testing that medical students have to complete and pass in order to get a medical license. They also have changed to a lot more integration of the basic sciences and the clinical sciences. So that's why we moved in this direction. So what did we do that's different? The main thing that we did that was different is we moved from a teacher-centered teaching kind of situation where you have an auditorium and you have a single instructor in front of everyone, and all the focus is on the instructor, and it's all about the instructor imparting knowledge out to this vast group of people, to really focusing on the learner. And the learner is, this is a room, as you've noticed, I have to kind of do the Oprah Winfrey, Phil Donahue thing here, keep moving around it, that in order to, that the focus is on, there's many different foci, that's the point. So there's a lot of learners in this room, there's a lot of ways for them to access information and to access information from each other, and the teacher, the instructor, is the facilitator of that. And so that's a really different concept in creating a learning environment. So again, we went away from that sequential model of basic science into an integrated model, and a lot more focused on attaining competencies. And what we're talking about in medical education now is milestones. So people attaining various, should be at a certain place at a certain time and need to get to a certain level of competency. And so that's what we're working on. So some of our innovations in skill development is a lot of emphasis on interpersonal skills, communication skills, right from the beginning. So in those, you saw what Dr. Balogun showed you, our little smallest part of our colleges are our CPD groups, the Clinical Performance Development Groups. So those 2 mentors and those 6 students all meet for 4-ish hours a week for the first 18 months of medical school. And they they have to function, 6 people, 2 mentors, they have to function fairly successfully. They have to learn a lot of skills, a lot of communication skills, a lot of physical exam skills. They work through cases, they work through problems. So that's where a lot of that is worked on. They learn to assess medical information, so learn about evidence-based medicine, learn about studies, journal articles, how to read those, how to understand those, how to really, what do you make of the statistics, that kind of thing. We use now a lot of other modes. We really have embraced a lot of IT, or a lot of new technology, so computer-based cases, standardized patients, simulators, we use actors who make up and do everything. We have a lot of simulators, which are extremely realistic, what we call high fidelity. And of course, we use real patients because that's who we learn from the most. And so the students will go up into this hospital and do physical exams and interview patients, really from the beginning of medical school. So that's just a different way of looking at things. So the way they're getting the information is a way that they can see where they're going to use it, they get to use it, and they carry it through all the way through the medical school. So we now, my students can tell you that I talk a lot about how the curriculum is a pyramid. And at the